Hare Krishna, Pranam dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. Let's start with prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Pranam. Thank you all so much for joining. So actually, Kavita Mataji was supposed to take the class today, but her husband suddenly had some health problems, so she had to go to the hospital with him. He's home now and recovering well. So let's all pray for Prabhuji that he's fine soon. Yeah. So we started chapter 4 yesterday. We completed chapter 3. Chapter 3 was about eligibility of the candidate for accepting devotional service. And it's a very wonderful chapter because we learn about the adhikar of a devotee. And the basic eligibility is that one has little attraction for Krishna. And even if it is little bit, but it should be unflinching. That means it should be only Krishna. So if one has unflinching attraction to Krishna, then that is something as a very good starting point that becomes the eligibility. And Srila Rupa Goswami has described that when one is not too attached or too detached from this material world and by some good fortune develops faith in the service of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, he is considered to possess the adhikar for devotional service. Okay, and so this is how the chapter progressed, and then we read about the different, the eligibility in the three levels of Vedi Bhakti, that is of Uttam Adhikari, the Madhyam Adhikari, and the Kanishta Adhikari. What are their different, how they can be distinguished. And then we read about the further classifications of neophytes from Bhagavad Gita. That means the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and the wise. And then we read that all candidates must rid themselves of the desire for bhukti and mukti for becoming eligible and coming to the path and progressing on the path of bhakti. And towards the end of the third chapter we read that devotees do not care for bhukti or mukti, and we had read five evidences in chapter 3. Firstly, Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur, then Kapil Dev to Devahuti ji, and then Uddhav to Krishna, then Kapila to Devahuti again, and then Dhruva Maharaj. So these were the evidences we read in the end of chapter 3. Now, chapter 4, as I mentioned yesterday, this is again, these evidences, there is a continuation of evidences in support that devotees are free from the desire for bhukti or mukti. So, this chapter is entitled Devotional Service Surpasses All Liberation, and we're going to read lots of different evidences here. So, today, really, I won't be speaking much. Mainly, you all will be reading because it's one evidence after another. And if and I in the end I'll also send the whole screenshot of all the evidences so we can have it in one go we can have a look. And it is so beautiful because we can think that yeah, this I know this, this is true, I understand this. But when we read all these great personalities who are actually speaking about this thing, this is really amazing, and it should really strengthen our faith in our belief that really we have the best thing already. We are on the best path already. We should not get diverted by the thoughts of bhukti or mukti at all. Okay, so let's start. So we can all take turns reading two paragraphs each, starting with Rajeshwari Mataji. Yeah, Mataji, you can start.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, सन माता जी। In the Bhagavatam, sixth canto, 11th chapter, verse 25, there is a similar statement of Vitasura, who addressed the Lord as follows: My dear Lord, by leaving your transcendental service, I may be promoted to be planet called Durvada Loka, the postal star, or I may gain lordship over all the planetary system of the universe, but I do not aspire to this, nor do I wish the mystic perfection of yoga practice, nor do I aspire to spiritual emanations, any, any emanation, all in
Emancipation.
which
Emancipation.
anticipation. Thank you, Mataji. All I wish for, my Lord, is your association and transcendental service eternally. This statement is confirmed by Lord Shiva in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 17th chapter, verse 28, wherein Lord Shiva addressed Sat Sati Tush, my dear Sati, person who are devoted to Narayana, Krishna, are not afraid of anything if they are elevated to the higherly planet system, or if they get liberation from material contamination, or if they are pushed down to the hellish condition of life, or in fact in any situation whatever, they are not afraid of anything simply because they have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Narayana. For them, any position in the material world is as good as another. There is a similar statement
Yeah,
by
Mataji. Yeah, yeah. We'll
Hare
take
Krishna
two
Mataji.
paragraphs. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
So
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yesterday, when we started reading this chapter, we read about what Maharaj Prithu says. He says that if after taking liberation, I have no chance of hearing and hearing your glories chanted by pure devotees, then I do not want liberation at all. That was the first one, and then we read about Maharaj Bharat, what he had to say, what Parikshit Maharaj was saying, and then now we are reading what Vritsasura says. So, who was, I'm sure you all remember, but who was Vritsasura in his previous life? He was a very famous king. He was a king, then he gets cursed to take the body of a demon. You can all unmute and say if you remember.
Was it Rahugana Mataji?
No, Mataji. Anyone else? It wasn't King Rahugana. Okay, I'll give you a hint. He was a king who wanted a son, and then he was blessed to have a son, but the
हरे कृष्ण
son,
माता जी
yes, Prabhu,
चित्रकेतु चित्रकेतु
Chitraketu, yes, Prabhu, correct. So he was King Chitraketu, and he was then later on cursed. It was all a pastime because it is important to understand who he was, because otherwise what he says will not really make sense, because how can a demon say something like this to the Lord? So he was actually a devotee who just gets cursed to take a body of a demon, and he has this big battle with Indra, and Indra, he can actually he was able to he could easily defeat Indra, but then it is the Lord's desire, so Vritsasura is then defeated. That's another pastime. But he is saying that, by leaving your transcendental service, I may be promoted to the planet of Dhruvaloka, Dhruvaloka, pole star, or get lordship over the universe. But he does not aspire for any of these. He does not wish for any perfection of yoga practices or any spiritual emancipation. All he is praying for is the association and transcendental service of the Lord. Then next is Lord Shiva talking to Mother Sati. And what is Lord Shiva saying? He's saying, my dear Sati, persons who are devoted to Lord Krishna, they're not afraid of anything. And if they are elevated to higher planetary system, if they get liberation, or if they are pushed down, in whatever situation a pure devotee is, they are not afraid of anything, because they have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. So for them, any position in the material world is as good as another. That's why we see, when we generally what we would want, okay, when we come to Krishna consciousness, many will desire that I just don't want to take another birth. I never want to come back to this material world. I just want to go back to Krishna. I mean, this desire in itself is a very elevated desire. But the very pure devotees, what their desire is, I just want to serve Krishna. Krishna can keep me wherever he wants. He can keep me in whichever condition he wants. I will still love Krishna. So, that is the position of pure devotees, and that's what Lord Shiva is telling to Mother Sati. Okay. Yeah, so there is not much explanation required in this chapter, not much discussion needed. It's just that we have to really immerse ourselves in these wonderful references from the scriptures, very, very beautiful references all together in one place. Okay. Yeah, next. Sudha Mataji, Mataji, you can read the next two paras.
Krishna Mataji Dandak Pranam.
Now, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
This statement is confirmed by Lord. This which one,
No,
Mataji? Same. No?
there is a similar
Yeah.
statement by Indra.
Sorry. Yeah. There is a similar statement by Indra, the king of heaven, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 18th chapter, verse 74. There Indra addresses Mother Diti in this manner: My dear mother, persons who have given up all kinds of desire and are simply engaged in devotional service to the Lord know what is actually their self interest. Such persons are actually serving their self interest and are considered first class experts in the matter of advancing to the perfectional stage of life. In the seventh canto of the Bhagavatam, sixth chapter, verse 25, Maharaj Prahlada says, My dear friends, born into atheistic families, if you can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then there is nothing more rare in this world. In other words, if the Supreme Lord Krishna is pleased with you, then any desire you may have within the core of your heart can be fulfilled without any doubt. As such, what is the use of elevating yourself by the results of fruitive activities which are automatically achieved in all events by the modes of material nature? And what is the use for you of spiritual emancipation or liberation from material bondage? If you are always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord and always relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord, then there is no necessity for any of these. By this statement of Prahlad Maharaj, it is clearly understood that one who takes pleasure in chanting and hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord has already surpassed all kinds of material benedictions, including the results of pious fruitive activities, sacrifices, and even liberation from material bondage. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So yeah, the next quotation is from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Indra is talking to his mother Diti, and he says that persons who have given up all kinds of desire and are simply engaged in devotional service to the Lord know what is actually their self-interest. So, as we know that Aditi is the mother of the demons, Aditi is the mother of the demigods, but they were sisters. So here Indra is talking to Diti, and he's saying that the real self-interest, what is the real self-interest of every person, really truly, is to engage in devotional service of the Lord. And such persons are actually serving their self-interest and are considered first-class experts in the matter of advancing to the perfectional stage of life. Now, the problem is that we consider ourselves to be this body. And that is why everything, mostly people are doing just for the body, bodily comforts, or for people who are related to this body in this way. But when we understand who is the real self and that we are actually the soul, then what is the best thing for the soul is to be engaged in the service of Krishna. Okay, and this is confirmed by Indra, the king of heaven, the leader of all the devtas. And next up is Prahlad Maharaj's goal. Prahlad Maharaj, the very wonderful, child devotee of Lord Krishna, and recently Narasimha Chaturdashi was there, so we all know the glories of Prahlad Maharaj very well. And he was telling, as you all know, that he would instruct his friends about Krishna consciousness, and he's telling his friends about the glories of Lord Krishna. That, if you can please the Supreme Lord, then there is nothing more in this world. So if Krishna is pleased with you, then any desire you may have within the core of your heart, everything gets fulfilled without any doubt. So we have to have that faith that if we are surrendered to Krishna, then whatever is happening is by Krishna's mercy. And even though we may not really be able to understand, but it is actually, the best in our self-interest that is happening. He says that what is the use of performing the fruitive activities, karma kanda, and all these things, which are automatically achieved in all events by the modes of material nature. So the real thing that we need to do is to work for liberation from the material bondage. And that liberation is not the liberation that the Mayavadis get, but the correct form of desiring freedom from these material miseries is to engage in the service of Krishna, because that is when one actually advances and reaches the highest abode. So he says, what is the use for you of spiritual emancipation or liberation from material bondage? So if we are just stuck, like yesterday we were discussing, that if all that we want is freedom from material bondage and we don't think of what is next, then we just go to the Brahma Jyoti level. That is not what is desirable actually. We have to understand what is beyond Brahma Jyoti, when that is the abode of the Lord, Vaikuntha. And he says that if you're engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord, always relishing the nectar of the lotus feet, then there is no necessity for any of these things. We don't have to hanker for liberation, because liberation automatically is achieved by devotees of Lord Krishna. So we have to understand that one who takes pleasure in chanting and hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord, such a person, such a devotee, has already surpassed all kinds of material benedictions, including the results of pious activities, sacrifices, and even liberation from material bondage. So we should not think that, the path of bhakti, some people actually say, this is another very big misconception, that the path of bhakti is for the simple people, the people who are not that advanced in knowledge, people who cannot do meditation, people who cannot do yagyas. For those simpletons, bhakti is there. It's sentimental. You can sing, you can chant, but it's not true. It's the opposite. Bhakti, even though it appears simple, it is the highest. Okay, so we don't have to run after getting fruitive results. We don't have to go do sacrifices. We don't have to worry about liberation from this world. All those things are already achieved when one comes to the path of bhakti of Lord Krishna. Okay, now next two paragraphs. Rekha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Mataji,
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, excuse me. Yeah, what is the meaning of this line, Mataji? Relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Like how we can relish the lotus feet.
Yes, Mataji.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so this is relishing the nectar of the lotus feet means, my understanding is that relishing the joy of bhakti. When we take Lord Krishna's name, see the Lord, his body, his name, everything is non-different, right? So if we
Yeah.
are taking pleasure in serving the Lord, then that means we are relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Because we are serving those lotus feet, right? So we are relishing that nectar. So through chanting, through all the services, whatever Srila Prabhupada has told us to do, when we are doing that and then we start getting pleasure in that, then that is relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Okay,
Basically,
thank you.
joy of bhakti. Yeah.
Joy of Bhakti it is. Okay. Thank you, madam.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Rekha Mataji, right? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Similarly, in the same seventh canto, eighth chapter, verse 42, when the demigods are offering prayers to Lord Krishna, Lord Nrsimha, Indra, the king of heaven, says, O Supreme One, these demons talk of our share of participation in the performances of ritualistic sacrifices. But simply by your appearance as Lord Nrsimhadev, you have saved us from terrible fears. Actually, our shares in the sacrificial performances are due to you only because you are the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. You are the super soul of every living entity, and therefore you are the actual owner of everything. Long were our hearts always filled with fear of this demon, Hiranyakashipu. But you're so kind towards us that by killing him, you have removed that fear from within our hearts and have given us the chance to place your lordship within our hearts again. For persons who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lordship, all the opulences which were taken away from us by the demons are counted as nothing. Devotees do not care even for liberation. What to speak of these material opulences? Actually, we are not enjoyers of the fruits of sacrifices. Our our only duty is to always be engaged in your service, for you're the enjoyer of everything. Shall I read another, Mataji? The
Yes,
purport of
Mataji.
the purport of this statement by Indra is that beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no living entities are meant for enjoying the material opulences. They are simply meant for offering everything to the supreme proprietor, the personality of Godhead. By doing so, they automatically enjoy the benefit. The example can be seated again of the different parts of the body, collecting foodstuffs and cooking them so that ultimately a meal may be offered to the stomach. After it has gone to the stomach, all the parts of the body equally enjoy the benefit of the meal. So, similarly, everyone's duty is to satisfy the Supreme Lord and then automatically engage automatically everyone will become satisfied. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, in this material world, whatever all these, all the wonderful things that we have in the world, like wind or water or nature, everything, all there are demigods, right, who take care of all these things. So, and whatever pious activities one does, there's so many demigods in charge of giving the results, right? Ultimately, everything comes from Krishna, and then the demigods are the, different ministers in Krishna's ministry. We can say like that. So, I mean, it can be said without a doubt, and I'm sure all of us have this understanding that the level of opulence, the level of power, uh, or beauty everything or strength that the demigods have, we have nothing in comparison to that, right? So they have all the things that generally people aspire for, to make, to think that we become happy if we have money, if we have opulence, if we have beauty, if we have power, strength. The demigods have all those things way more than we can even imagine, right? I'm sure all of us are clear on that. Those same demigods are saying that actually we are not the enjoyers of the fruits of sacrifices. Our only duty is to always be engaged in your service. You are the enjoyer of everything. So when we are hearing this from the mouth of the demigods, And the Devi Devtas, they are so respectable, right? And there's so many worshippers of Devi Devtas also. They are there, they are worshipping Krishna, they are glorifying transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So this statement here that for persons who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of your Lordship, all the opulences which were taken away from us by the demons are counted as nothing. So the war between the Devtas and the demons, everything was snatched away from the Devtas. And they are saying that all those opulences, they're counted as nothing for the devotees of the Lord. Okay, so if such elevated personalities and personalities who have all these things, it's one thing that we don't have it and then we say it's not important. But someone who has it is saying that these opulences are really not important as compared to the opulence of the bhakti of Krishna. Then we really should be sure that this is actually the fact. And then the purport of this statement, Prabhupada is explaining, the purport is that beginning from Brahma to the insignificant act, and no living entities are meant for enjoying the material opulences. Okay, they are simply meant for offering everything to the Supreme Lord. And if we get into this mentality and habit and this consciousness that everything actually belongs to Krishna, then it's like, all the different organs of the body, they work towards getting the food in the stomach, and when the food gets into the stomach, the whole body is nourished. So similarly, everyone's duty, Prabhupada is saying that everyone's duty is to satisfy the Supreme Lord, and then automatically everyone will become satisfied. So the way to have real peace in the world, the way to have real happiness in the world is by working towards satisfying the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it's just that we are all running in different directions. We are all just fighting to satisfy ourselves, and that doesn't lead us anywhere. Okay. Yeah. Next two paragraphs. Kusum Lata Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
A
Krishna.
similar verse is found in the 8th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 20. Gajendra says there, "My dear Lord, I have no experience of the transcendental bliss derived from your devotional service. So therefore I have asked from you some favor. But I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed from all material desires, are always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them, there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for." In the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, verse 67, the Lord of Vaikuntha replies to Durvasa Muni, thus, "My pure devotees are always satisfied being engaged in devotional service, and therefore they do not aspire even after the 5 liberated stages, which are to be one with me, to achieve residence on my planet, to have my opulences, to possess bodily features similar to mine, and to gain personal association with me. So, when they are not interested even in these liberated positions, you can know how little they can care for material opulences or material liberation." Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Ji Hare Krishna. So Gajendra's statement here that persons who are pure devotees, uh, by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, and persons who are serving the Lord and the devotees of the Lord, just by doing that, they get freed from all material desires and are always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss. Okay, so that is the ultimate thing, other there are so many other distractions that can come, but nothing actually will lead us to the ultimate happiness, the ultimate state that one can reach. It's only by serving the Lord. Okay, and then they're always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for, because the soul, in this way, the soul has reached the ultimate goal, right? So then what else is left to achieve? And then the Lord of Vaikuntha, he's talking to Durvasa Muni, and he says that my devotees, they don't even want the 5 kinds of liberation. I mean, when we think of liberation, that itself is such an elevated thing. But the Lord is saying that they don't even want that. So, what to think of material opulences or material liberation? They don't want even the mukti that is, to become one with the Lord, to achieve residence. Devotees don't aspire for this also. Just service of Krishna, pleasing Krishna. That is the aspiration of the pure devotees of the Lord. Yeah. Next, Kripa Mai Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
audible Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
There is a similar prayer by the Nagapatnis, wives of the Kaliya serpent, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, verse 37. The Nagapatni said there, Dear Lord, the dust of your feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship over all the planetary systems, the mystic perfections of yoga, or even liberation from material existence. In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your lotus feet does not care a fig or for all other perfectional stages. There is a similar statement in the 10th canto, 87th chapter, verse 21, wherein these stutis, the Vedas personified, pray to the Lord as follows. Dear Lord, it is very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Your appearance here, just as you are, is to explain to us this most difficult subject of knowledge of the Spirit. As such, devotees who have left their domestic comforts to associate with the liberated acharyas, teachers, are now fully merged in the devotional service of your Lordship, and thus they do not care for any so-called liberation.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, who are the Nag Patnis? They are the wives of Kaliya. Okay, so Krishna, after defeating Kaliya, the Nag Patnis come, they offer prayers to Lord Krishna, and they are saying that, how wonderful is the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets. Okay. And heavenly planets, I mean, in general, if we see just Swarg, that is the ultimate for many people. But the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is way more precious. So, devotees who have achieved this, they do not care for any kind of heavenly planets. Then, Shrutis, the Vedas personified, they are praying to the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 87 chapter, 21st verse. That, dear Lord, it is very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Your appearance here, just as you are, is to explain to us this most difficult subject of knowledge of the Spirit. As such, your devotees who have left their domestic comforts to associate with the liberated acharyas are now fully merged in the devotional service of your Lordship. So they do not care for any so called liberation. So this is ultimate for after gaining knowledge also. The Vedas, they are knowledge personified. When they are also saying this, then we have to understand that even if one gains more and more and more knowledge, the ultimate end of gaining all knowledge is if we come to the understanding that we have to surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, what is the point of gaining knowledge? Because the Vedas personified, the Shrutis themselves are glorifying Lord Krishna and worship of Lord Krishna and saying that devotees do not actually care for liberation. They are themselves saying. So, if our knowledge is not taking us to this realization, then that means there's something wrong in the knowledge that we are gaining. Yeah, next paragraph. Archana Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In explaining this verse, it should be noted that spiritual knowledge means understanding the self and the super soul or super self. The individual soul and the super soul are qualitatively one, and therefore both of them are known as Brahman or spirit. But knowledge of Brahman is very difficult to understand. There are so many philosophers engaged in the matter of understanding the soul, but they are unable to make any tangible advancement. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that out of many millions of persons, only one may try to understand what is spiritual knowledge. And out of many such persons who are trying to understand, only one or a few may know what is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this verse says that spiritual knowledge is very difficult to achieve. And so, in order to make it more easily attainable, the Supreme Lord Himself comes in His original form as Krishna and gives His instruction directly to an associate like Arjuna, just so that the people in general may take advantage of this spiritual knowledge. This verse also explains that liberation means having completely given up all the material comforts of life. Those who are impersonalists are satisfied by simply being liberated from the material circumstances. But those who are devotees can automatically give up material life and also enjoy the transcendental bliss of hearing and chanting the wonderful activities of Lord Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat pranams. Mataji, you're on mute, Mataji.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So it's a long paragraph, so we'll understand this and then move forward. So here, this is the quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is saying that there are so many philosophers engaged in the matter of understanding the soul, but they are unable to make any tangible advancement. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that out of many millions of persons, only one may try to understand what is spiritual knowledge. And out of many such persons who are trying to understand, only one or a few may know what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, which verse is this?
Manusyanam sahasresu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam. I don't remember the last sentence. Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Yeah, so very, very beautiful verse, right? I'll just read the translation from Bhagavad Gita. Just give me. It's very beautiful verse. As we are reading through all these references, let us keep revising these concepts also. Yeah, so Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vitti tatvata. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So, bhakti for Lord Krishna is so very rare, right? So, if we get the chance to at least walk that path, we have to consider ourselves very fortunate, and we should try to do everything to protect ourselves from falling off this boat, right? ISKCON is like the boat which is taking us out of this material ocean. And yes, there is a lot of turbulence, there are a lot of problems. Even within the boat, there may be problems. But we have to understand that if we just stay on this boat will take us out of this material ocean. Okay. So,
Mataji, I have one small question. Can I ask you now?
yes, Mataji.
Mataji, in this towards the end, they say this verse also explains that liberation means having completely given all the material comforts of life. When you say all the material comforts of life, does it mean you have to sleep on the floor and not travel by vehicles? You have to walk. Deep
So,
understanding, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, this is about the attachment. Are we attached to all these comforts or are we attached to service of Krishna? So, like we see Srila Prabhupada's example when he was in Sri Vrindavan Dham in Radha Damodar temple, his rooms were very simple. He was sleeping on the floor, cooking himself. He didn't want any comforts. But as you know, and when he went to America, there was so much discomfort. He took all that also. His faith, his love for Krishna was not wavering, whether he was in a comfortable state or not. And then when ISKCON became a worldwide organization, his disciples offered him a lot of comforts also. He was traveling in cars, airplanes, and he was staying comfortably. But was he attached to that? No, he was liberated from these different circumstances, whether it was a comfortable place to stay, whether it was just a very simple hut that he was staying in Mayapur, even in Bhubaneswar. Prabhupada was not attached to these things, right? So it means completely giving up the material comforts of life means we should not be attached to these things. Right? Our attachment has to be given up, basically.
Yeah, Mataji. But what I mean is nowadays, just sleeping on a bed is not a luxury. It's not a great comfort or
Exactly.
something. It's a day-to-day.
Yes, yes.
No, that's
Yeah.
why I want to know.
Yeah, so Mataji, some things are just required for sustenance. Na? So we are just doing those things. But do we want something very luxurious? No.
Yeah,
Simple
that's true.
living. Yeah. So that means there's no attachment to luxuries. And what we are doing also is just to keep the body and soul together also, right? That's what devotees do.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes,
need
yes.
a house, we need clothes, we need earning, we need some savings. All these things are required. But that is just so that we are able to perform our sadhana comfortably, right? We need a house where we can perform the sadhana. So it's basically that
Yeah.
attachment to the circumstances, to the luxuries. We should not have that. Yes. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna. So, Mataji, would you like to read? You raised your hand, or was it for the question? You want to read?
Yeah, no. To read, Mataji. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
In the
please read.
11th canto of in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, verse 34, Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, the devotees who have completely taken shelter of my services are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire. Even if they offered the four kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them. So, what to speak of their desiring anything within the material world?" Similarly, Lord Krishna says in another passage of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 14. "My dear Uddhava, a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Brahma, or the post of Indra, or the post of lordship over the planets, or the eight kinds of mystic perfections, or even liberation itself." In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, verse 6, Lord Shiva says to Devi, "My dear Devi, this great Brahmana sage Markandeya has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, he does not aspire after any benedictions, including liberation from the material world." Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. So here we read two quotations. One is, two of them where Lord Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, and then Lord Shiva to Devi. So the Lord is telling to Uddhava that the devotees who have completely taken shelter of the Lord's service, and they are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire. So this we can see, right? All the wonderful devotees that we see in ISKCON around us, and maybe and for sure in other sampradayas also, but we can see in their life, like for example Srila Prabhupada's life, the whole entire motivation was that Krishna consciousness should spread. He was so steadfast in his bhakti. There was no other desire. There was nothing that could shake his love for Krishna. And by, Prabhupada's different followers, we can see around us also that the only desire is to distribute books of Srila Prabhupada, to have these beautiful temples in Srila Prabhupada's service. So there is no other desire. And even if they are offered the four kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them. So, what to speak of their desiring anything within the material world? So, whether it is the opulence of the form of the Lord or the dham of the Lord, all these things we've read earlier also. They don't want any kind of those muktis also. They don't want. So, if that also they don't desire, then what to speak of the material? Opulences, right? Then the other quotation is that a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Indra, right? I mean, we have in many pastimes we have heard, right, that Indra's position, Indra it's so elevated itself, and he's the king of the devtas. So, but that position also devotees do not want, right? So, and then Lord Shiva is saying to Mother Parvati, to Devi, that This great Brahmana sage Markandeya has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Lord, and as such, he does not aspire for any benedictions. So, this same point is coming again and again, that devotees do not desire material opulences, they do not want even liberation. Right? Again and again, this point is being reiterated through various quotations from the scriptures. And devotees, no, it is actually said, and is true also, that coming to the path of bhakti uh, it means that everything else, all jnana, yajna, all kind of tapasyas, those things have already been done. That is, that is why the path of bhakti is so elevated. Yeah, even though we are not now sitting and doing yajnas, or we don't have to sit and do meditation like in the earlier stages, but that, again, I'm saying this point that just the simplicity and sweetness of bhakti is many times misunderstood by people who start thinking that this is an easier path and this is a lower path. We have to be very, very confident ourselves that this is actually the highest path. All other things have already been done in the previous births by many devotees. And actually, there are some astrologers who are able to see the previous lives, right? The very expert astrologers, not the fake ones, but they're able to see what a person has done in the previous lives. And many devotees I've heard myself where astrologers have told them that you have already done lot of tapasya, you have done lots of sacrifices and all that in your previous life. Now you will just have to chant, you have come to this path. So we don't know what our previous life was, right? We cannot understand. But we have to be confident and very, very sure that we don't have to get distracted by anything else in this life. Yes, there's so many organizations that are talking about so many different parts of self-realization. You do this, you do that. We have to be sure that we have come to the best place by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, by the mercy of devotees, we are now here. Now we are in the boat. Like I said, we just have to put all efforts to just stay in the boat. And for that, we have to sincerely follow what Srila Prabhupada has asked us to do. We have to sincerely chant, we have to read his books, we have to associate with devotees, we have to follow the four regulative principles, all the do's and don'ts that have been given to us. Prabhupada so simply has given everything to us. All we have to do is bring out that sincerity and just keep following this path. Just stay on the boat. Okay. Yeah, let's read one last para, then we can stop for today. Would someone like to read? Yeah, Rajeshwari Mataji, please read.
It's a long paragraph.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Similarly,
Krishna.
there is a statement in Padma Purana describing the ritualistic function during the month of Kartik, October to November. During this month in Vrindavan, it is the regulative principles to pray daily to Lord Krishna in his Damodar form. The Damodara form refers to Krishna in his childhood when he was tied up with the rope by his mother Yashoda. Dama means ropes. The Utra means the abandonment. So Mother Yashoda, being disturbed by the naughty Krishna, bound him round the abandonment. Sorry. With the rope. Thus, Krishna is named Damodara. During the Kartik, Damodara is played to as follows: My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions. There are many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva who sometimes offer benediction to their representative devotees. For example, Ravana was blessed with many benediction by Lord Shiva, and Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Lord Brahma. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benediction of Lord Krishna, and therefore Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotees' prayer continues. I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. What I want has your favor is that I may always think of your form in which I see you now, as Damodara. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything besides this wonderful form. In this same prayer, there is another passage in which it is said, my dear Lord Damodara, once when you were playing as a naughty boy in the house of Nanda Maharaj, you broken the box containing yogurt, and because of that Mother Yashoda considered you an orphan and tied you with a rope of the householding grandmother. At that time you delivered the two sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera and Maigriva, who were staying there as a two Arjuna trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaj. My only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may similarly deliver me. Hare Krishna Mataji, is it okay? I can read the next one.
We'll stop here, Mataji. It's a long
Thank you,
parallel.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, so this paragraph is talking about the very beautiful Damodar Leela that we are all, I'm sure, familiar with, and then uh, the Damodar Ashtakam prayers that we sing during this month. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that there is a statement in Padma Puran describing the ritualistic function during the Kartik month, and where it is the regulative principle to pray daily to Lord Krishna in the Damodar form. So, Manigriv and Nalkuver, they were cursed to take the body of trees, and Lord Krishna, in his baby form, had done the breaking of the pot, that very beautiful Leela, and then he's tied around the waist. Mother Yashoda ties a rope around his waist. That's why he gets this name, Damodar. So in this prayer, there are this Ashtakam that we sing, very, very beautiful lines are coming. And the Srila Prabhupada is saying that there are many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees, like to Ravan and to Hiranyakashipu. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benedictions of Lord Krishna, and therefore Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. Okay. So, the prayer that we read in the Damodar Ashtakam, it is there that I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation, right? So, the fourth stanza is Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadimba Na Chanyam Rineham Vareshadapiha Idam Teva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virashtam Ke Mane. So, that means I do not want any kind of liberation, any kind of material facility. What I want as your favor is that I always think of your form in which I see you now. And then the other paragraph is where this whole pastime is described, where, Lord Krishna is a naughty boy in the house of Nand Maharaj. He broke the pot of yogurt which Mother Yashoda was churning, and then, he's punished, and then how Nalkuver and Manigriv are liberated from that body that they have, and they were staying in the form of two Arjuna trees in the yard of Nand Maharaj. And my only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may similarly deliver me. So in this pastime that we read, we see how beautiful it is that Lord Krishna is doing these sweet pastimes with Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And when Kartik month comes, we go deep into this prayer and into this pastime. There's so many learnings that come from this pastime. But here the point being made is that even a Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they can give lots of benedictions, okay? But devotees, even they depend upon the benediction of Lord Krishna. And everything, actually, ultimately, everything comes from Lord Krishna, and all these things that we are seeing, whether it is liberation or material opulences, Lord Krishna grants all these things. So to Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also, they get benedictions from Lord Krishna, right? And the devotee now in this, the prayer is that I do not want any kind of thing, any kind of benedictions, any kind of opulences, any kind of material facility. I don't desire all this. I just want to see your beautiful, wonderful form. That is my desire. And then how Nal Kuber and Manikriv were delivered. So my only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may please similarly deliver me. Okay, so this is the prayer. And it's so nice that, we are ending on this note where we are reminded of this wonderful Damodar Leela. Okay, so we'll stop here. And if there are any questions, any comments, anything you would like to add, any realizations.
Mataji, one more question, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
Mataji. No, Mataji,
Now, when you
please.
talk about these astrologers, Mataji,
Yes.
We can't go to these normal astrologers. No? There are some spiritual astrologers in ISKCON. Am I right?
Yes,
Where can you find them, Mataji?
Mataji, I mean, I've never actually gone, so I don't have any personal experience, but the senior devotees will tell you, like, in our congregation, our senior Mataji, if somebody requires, then she suggests someone.
Okay,
So,
okay.
like that, the senior devotees will know, because there are few, and like you rightly said, we should just not go to any astrologer. We should only go to the correct
That's
spiritual
what even
ones.
I have heard, Mataji, not to go to any astrologers because we have
Right.
within ISKCON. But then
Yes,
they
yes,
give
Mataji.
they have
So the
Vedic,
seniors will know. Seniors will know.
Vedic astrology. They have.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, Mataji.
Just want to
Yes.
confirm that, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you all so much for joining. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन की जय श्रील रूप गोस्वामी की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा धन्वत प्रणाम हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
so much
Thank
for
you,
joining.
Mataji. Thank you.